What's your secret that you think would shock everyone if it came out? Story 1. So many years ago, my husband and I were hosting my family at our home. The plan was burgers and all the standard summer sides. Think fruit, salads, chips, ice cream for dessert. My grandma, for whatever reason, requested homemade potato salad. My grandma was a saint and didn't make outlandish requests often, if ever, so I did plan to accommodate her request. Unfortunately, life was crazy busy leading up to the get-together date, and ultimately I didn't have the time, energy, and supplies to make homemade pasta salad. So instead of coming clean, I decided to run to the grocery that had a decent deli and get their loaded baked potato salad. It was a little bit more elaborate ingredients-wise than the standard potato salad. I put it in one of our glass bowls with a lid and served it as my own. No one questioned it. Now, years later, Grandma has since passed. My family will request that I make my homemade potato that Grandma loved for potlucks. I don't have the heart to tell them it's store-bought. Story 2. If my grandfather dies, virtually knocking on the wood, today I will inherit all of his property and money. He showed me his last will with his attorney. I think my parents and uncles might kill me if they find out. Context. When my granddad suffered from kidney failure, no one visited him except me. The reason is that he had many mistresses and still drank heavily when he was 75 to 80, which made his children hate him. Also, they have their own lives. From the day he was diagnosed with cancer until today, I have visited and taken care of him every day. My parents kicked me out of the house for being a party-goer and wanting to arrange my marriage at a young age. I was 19 back then and a female. I ran away for 1 month, but when I returned, they officially kicked me out. That's when I told my grandfather. He gave me a lump sum of money to start over, so I went back to university and rented an apartment near his place. When I graduated this year, he called a meeting with his attorney and me. That's when they told me that I will inherit all of his assets, including the ranch's cars, basically everything he owns, and his real estate/construction business. When they asked me what I would do with the money, I told them that my experiences when I ran away when I was 19 opened my eyes to everything that's happening within our city. It made me realize how hard life is. I used to have 5 CAD for 1 week, and I have to stretch it out. Most people would think homeless people are dangerous, but they are not, unless you provoke them or they are defending themselves. My plan when I receive the money is to put $500,000 each towards Red Road Healing Society, Hope Mission in Edmonton Addiction Youth Services, What Eats to Women Shelter. This has been noted in our meeting and currently working on it with his attorney. Story 3. I am almost 40, but I still suffer from the mental damage the aftermath of my parents' divorce did to me when I was 15. My parents think I have my life under control, and after such a long time it would be a massive shock to them how much I still suffer, sometimes. They didn't care much for me right after the divorce, but at some point I feel the statute of limitations of that has run out, so it would be weird if I ever brought it up or let it show. They'd also had their own set of mental problems, alcoholism, etc., that they were finally able to overcome, so I am scared it would throw them back into a dark place if they ever noticed how I am feeling. Story 4. The amount of coworkers my female coworker fooled around with while married with a child. Her husband knew about one of them and still tried to mend the relationship because he loves her so much. She had an emotional affair in the past, so he thought she was again fooling around, and again they mended the relationship. I know of at least 6 guys she had made love with numerous times, not including me. She told me that they broke up, but the divorce isn't officially yet. And many times that happened within the office, conference rooms, basement parking lot, etc. I mean, this woman would fool with a guy in the parking lot, and then pick up her daughter from nursery, drive her home to her husband, they'd have lunch as a family, and then she'd come back to the office and repeat again before she leaves in the afternoon. If her husband knew all that happened, I honestly fear for both his and her life. Story 5. He wouldn't let me leave. I begged, I cried, I tried to offer concessions. I tried to make him hate me. I withdrew completely. I did everything I could think of to be able to get out safely. He was lying to everyone else, and I didn't know it because I started staying home constantly just to have distance. He's a monster, and they're all buying the BS. He destroyed my life, and they all helped him. Story 6. I get all my work done in about 6 hours per week, and within a max of 3 days at the office. A day consists of being there to handle things that can only be done there, physical in-place requirements, and then I leave when the mission time ends. I spend the rest of the time doing things for my money-making side hobbies or catching up on movies, reading, home renovation projects, etc. I'm authorized 2 home office days per week. They're always Thursday and Friday. As long as I'm seeing emails and tasks that come in and jump on them like a good worker should, nobody cares. I've had 4-day weekends for years on salary with full benefits, and work 100% alone physically. If I had no integrity, I could milk it for more since my nearest coworker is literally 1,200 miles away. But I know how good I have it, so I don't abuse any of it. Nobody else in my program has anything close to this setup, but we were all given the opportunity to negotiate certain aspects of our contracts. I guess the others just chose not to. I figured it doesn't hurt to ask, and I got what I wanted with minimal effort. Basically, I said you can pay me to be there for 40 hours unhappily, or allow me to come and go as a trusted adult and see how well I produce and how happy I stay. Yes, my boss asked me to not share my office arrangement with anyone else in the program. My annual salary works out under this arrangement to roughly $104 an hour. I haven't had any real work stress in over 9 years, and the company that pays us absolutely loves what I do and throws me kudos via bonuses quite often. I know how lucky I am to be in this situation. If it came out in the program, the others would be shocked for sure, then jealous, then pissed. Story 7. Years ago, I was going up the elevator and talking to my neighbor, an older Caucasian lady. She asked what I did for a living, and I told her I sell appliances, not my current job. I can't remember the specifics, but she said she was once the nurse for the head of a major brand of appliances. On his deathbed, he told her that all the top leaders of the appliances companies got together and said they were making them too damn good back in the day they would last decades, not years, and that they needed to make them not last as long. They all agreed so they could sell them more frequently. I was shocked. I should have wrote the specifics down, but now that story is lost to time. Story 8. I received my diploma physically, but not digitally. I don't think I technically graduated my master's. I was supposed to submit a project, and my brain was so overwhelmed during COVID times. Recently lost my husband, single mom, waiting on a diagnosis to see if it was cancer. Moved across country, did all my classes online, cared for my dad, working full-time, and fighting to get my own apartment. I didn't submit the paper. I talked to the professor's assistant after, but his dad was going through his own battle with cancer. He said he would send me the stuff digitally if I turned in one more project required to graduate. I carried the whole team during the finals. The professor and assistant were amazed how I handled that, while another student tried to derail us and started deleting our work because she was upset. That was honestly so much work, I never wanted to look back. I have some sort of block about completing an extensive project. It was done in a group. I lost access to some of the drives and I just shut down. I was so traumatized by everything that took place, I never looked back and switched from my dream career to office work. I don't know what will happen if I try to get back in that career field. I have this piece of paper, but it might not mean anything. Story 9. The secret I carry is that I kept my mom from being with her brother when he died. He was being prepped for life flight from his smallish town hospital to a world-class medical facility. The doctors found out that he had a weak heart all his life. Bad valve and enlarged heart. It was close to noon, and I was with Mom in the emergency room. I noticed that his heart monitor did not look good, at all. I looked at the doctor, then back at the monitor, and the doc saw what I saw and nodded. I told my mom, "It will be an hour until they transport him. Let's get some Mexican food for lunch before our long drive." On the way out, I mouthed to my uncle, "It's all right." I saw him slump down after that, and got Mom the hell out of there before all the violence of a crash cart descended upon him. To me, it was better to get her out instead of watching the chaos that was about to erupt to try to save the life of her doomed brother. 25 years later, and I hope that I did the right thing. Story 10. My mom wrote an essay for me in the 5th grade, and I won a contest that took me to the state capitol to meet the governor. I honestly didn't know that much about Abraham Lincoln at the time, nor did I know essay structure like a college student, but boy, she sure did. Story 11. All of my older siblings, coworkers, and lots of friends, excluding my fiancé, smoke cigarettes or vape. I am constantly outspoken that they should quit, and that they are not good for them, because I truly care about their well-being. Last year about this time, I was having a really rough month at the plant I work at. We were working 12 to 16-hour, and some of us, myself included, over 20-hour shifts due to an emergency shutdown. I picked up the habit as well with the intention to quit once things lightened back up. I did for about 6 months, until a coworker handed me a half-pack to throw away for them, because they were going to quit due to my conviction. Nobody knows because I'll sit at the picnic tables at gas stations to smoke, because I'm ashamed, because for how long I've been outspoken that they're terrible for you. My little siblings look up to me because I am the only one of our siblings that doesn't smoke those nasty things, but I feel as if I've stepped too far into the addiction. I'm sure I'll find the willpower to quit soon, but it's just nice to get it off my chest. Story 12. The rib incident of 2020. My buddy and I were grilling a rack of ribs for several friends. Beautiful night, unforgettable hang. Tried transferring the rack from the grill to the table outside, dropped it face down. We looked at each other in silence for approx 5 seconds, picked it up, brushed it off, and didn't say a word to anyone. Story 13. 20 years ago, we hosted a big lunch with our family, think 35 persons. My sister is a vegetarian, and she complained a lot, still do, when she didn't have a special dish catering to her diet. I always make a lot of side dishes, mess style, so there were a lot of options, but she wouldn't be satisfied if she didn't have her dish. As I am a good sister and a pushover, I decided to make a vegetarian pizza. At the time I had a bread maker, don't have it anymore, prefer doing by hand, so I put the flour, yeast, etc. and let it do the work. But at the same time I also had a curious 2-year-old who liked to explore, and he loved putting stuff in the bread maker, and was a master at opening cupboards despite the safe proofing. So when I went to roll out the dough, I found out there was a strange little brown bit in it, my cat kibbles. I'm not proud of myself, but I was stressed out. I had been cooking for 2 days with 4 children, a house to clean, so I removed the kibbles and didn't say anything. Story 14. I'm the reason for my parents officially separating. Their marriage had been on the rocks for a long time already, and quite a few of my siblings and my dad suspected my mom of emotional cheating. When he came to me with this suspicion of his, instead of lying and trying to comfort him, I agreed with him and told him about some evidence I'd found, text messages that popped up on her phone. To this day, I have no idea why I told him about this. I wasn't tactful at all either. I just stated it as fact with no regards to his feelings. That night he didn't sleep in his bed with her like usual, and a week later he moved out. I still feel really guilty about this, and my whole family is shocked about how sudden it was that he finally called it off and left. I haven't told anybody. My mom is in pieces, and she has no idea that it's because I told him about her texts and confirmed his suspicions. They were long overdue to go their separate ways, but the way it all went down has been awful because of what I did. A few of my siblings are really upset about their split and don't understand what happened. I know they'd be upset with me for telling him the truth and causing both my parents so much pain. Story 15. When I was younger, I used to hang out a lot in the woods behind my house with my friends, usually when my mom wasn't home since she worked a lot to provide for me. My father passed away before I was born, so me and one of my friends one day went out to play really far and got near a road we didn't know was there. We were playing tag, and he was faster than me. He was running away from me and ran out right into the street. Neither of us saw the car and he got hit. I turned and ran, not knowing what to do since I was overwhelmed. It was on the news, and they said he died instantly. Nobody ever knew that I witnessed him getting hit by a car and watched his life end. I always thought about this seriously, and it has plagued me for years. I ask myself things like, what if we didn't go that far? What if I was it? What if we didn't go out to play that day? It has been on my mind constantly for years, and I'm 17 now. I've gone to therapy and talked to people about it, but it still plagues me. I used to have constant nightmares about it a few years back, but it's slightly more manageable nowadays. This is my secret. I don't ever talk about it casually, but it feels like I'm being more human than hiding a secret forever about something like this. Story 16. I was always considered an A student. During my last year in high school, we had a very chill teacher that let us send part 2 of the math exam online on OneNote. And every time I did that, I would go home, change the answers to the correct ones, and get a full score. On our final, the last part should have been sent out on a special website, so that you can't change the answer when it's sent. Yet I still sent it on OneNote, went back home, and changed the answers to the correct ones. The teacher never questioned why I had sent it there and marked it as everything correct. Story 17. When I was about 14, I made a fake online account for a cute emo boy, befriended my best friend at the time, who is still my best friend, on this account, and we had an online relationship. I initially did this because she was sad about another guy, and I was trying to help her move on. But I got in too deep and had to start making excuses for not meeting up. She then inevitably got sad about things with this guy not working out, and I felt super bad. It's been 15 years. We're still best friends, but I've never told her. Honestly can't tell if she'd be furious and disgusted, or if she'd laugh it off now. She is happily married now. Story 18. Maybe not to shock anyone, but definitely make them extremely subconscious around me. I'm 5'0" and nearly everyone I know I have to physically look up to. It's terrible, but I genuinely can't help but look up their noses and see if they have little nose berries or not. It's my biggest secret, no one knows it whatsoever. A little embarrassed about it, but honestly, it's been going on for so long that I hardly even think about how weird it is. That's a wrap for this video. Make sure to leave your relatable story down in the comments. I would love to make a video on that. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.